Oh, hey everybody, and thanks for joining us on Twitch or audition of our Twitch channel. Before we begin with part 4 of the Evermore Tales, the Samurai and the Dragon, I want to take the time to say thank you to Session Zero Clothing, which does amazing work on some of their t-shirts. They've got some really new designs, so go ahead and check them out. Mithril Armory with their dice that we had our other fellow Evermorean player Pep use during her games, and it's really awesome. You can actually pop them out and they fold into things. So the other one is Norse Foundry Dice. And then let's see, Norse Foundry Dice. I own a couple of their dice from their Kickstarters and mostly from my friends that do them to me. So they're actually really nice. And the last one I wanted to thank was Got DM. If you're ever looking for anything for gaming supplies and things that you can, I know, right? Print out. I'm just saying. You can check them out there. Before we begin, though, I wanted to take the opportunity and time to introduce our players and also let them talk a little bit about their characters. So let's begin with Jess. Jess?
Oh, my character today is Zhou Yi. She is my namesake, my Chinese name. And she is a representation of my Cantonese/Chinese culture, of my family and my upbringing, and just trying to represent that as a protectorate house leader within Qorvi, within Evermore. She's trying her best. She's 18, trying to be strong, but you'll see how she goes. She's growing as a person through these episodes, so keep up with that. Nearly died last time, so check that out. And I am Jess. You can find me at Rising Valkyrie on Instagram or Rising Valkyrie J on Twitter, which I don't really use, but maybe check that out. Good luck. And I post things here and there. I'm going to be in a few projects, a lot of projects coming up in the next few months, leading up to December with D'Angelo and a couple one-shots with Josh over here, my friend. So come check those out. I'll always promo on my Instagram. So yeah.
All right, let's go to Brianna.
Hi guys, I'm Brianna. I'm also known as Utahime Cosplay, and I play Yuki, who is a high elf sorceress. Her philosophy is that the mind is in fact sharper than the blade that one wields. So she's very much a proponent of that, and she definitely is determined to do what's in her power to help protect Qorvi and its people without disrupting the balance of the land, but we'll see, because past actions may have actually disrupted a lot. We don't know yet, to be determined. And she's actually the mentor of a certain other player, Toshiro. Yes, other than that, you can find me at Utahime Cosplay on Facebook, Instagram, here on Twitch, where I occasionally stream different games, and also too at Brianna DeCoster on Twitter. And I'm in also too a lot of upcoming projects and things. And here on the Initiative Order, I'm going to be on Vault tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So you can catch me there and see what I'm up to on my socials.
Excellent. Josh?
Oh, well, hello. My name is Josh of NPC Voices on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch. On Monday nights, I run a stream called Children of Dirt. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. If you're able to make it, wonderful time. Well, actually, no, 7:30 and then 4:30. Sorry about that. And then on Thursday nights, I'm a part of the Blue Box RPG for the the Greyhawk Awakening stream. And then here on the Initiative Order, I play a wonderful, good-looking, hot piece of hunkiness called Ivan. Ivan is a little bit of a transplant, as he's very much a Viking in a land that's very much not Viking. He is a holy individual. He's I was trying to step around the word cleric, but he's a cleric. He's a holy individual that cares about the love of others, as well as doesn't really care that much about gold, as people keep seeming to say. And he doesn't really care for the materialistic things, more about the connections made between people. He's a tall mofo.
And last but not least, Keith.
Hi, everybody. My name is Keith. Some of you know me as I Am Not Kevin Bacon on IG. I partnered up with Ray on Evermore Tales. So everyone, thank you for coming by and supporting us. And I finally get to play with my awesome cast. So super excited. Today, I will be playing Toshiro-san, Ichiban-san of House Miyazaki. Although I've played this character many times, I haven't played it in a while. So most likely I'm going to screw up a bunch of stuff. And yeah, that's just how it goes. And full disclaimer, I may throw Japanese terms here and there. I am not fluent in Japanese. It's words and phrases I've picked up from my family when they were working on the sugar plantation back in Hawaii. So that's what I got. And I'm going to throw it back to Ray-san.
Thank you very much. And I love it. Oh, I'm so excited for this. I am Ray with Got DM, and you can find me on Instagram under GOT_DM. I craft things, make things, and all around just play D&D. I've been hosting Evermore, this world that we're playing in, for the last 27 years. And these are a small collection of some of the players that we have in our world. And we're just very excited to tell this story with everybody and allow you to join us and have a great time. So without further ado, let's roll right into it. Thank you, everybody. And the last time we were here, let's go ahead and take this back just a couple more scenes, because we had started this out where Joyi was in the forest, and the forest of, well, not necessarily the forest, whoa, sorry, wrong setting. The forest itself, they had numerous amounts of spirits that were stuck within this forest, and there are families, there are people that have been wronged, there are people that are stuck here that hold on to the last remnants of staying on to the world of Evermore. But they found out to be very, very threatening to both our players. The Oni itself had found a way to easily separate the party, using what each had tried to at least attempt to find what they had what their needs are and what their desires were, ultimately putting Joyi in a situation where they had to fight combat one-on-one. It was the sheer will of each of the players to see one with Ivan beyond that exists, see with his eyes outside of with the constraints of reality. It was using Mujun's ability to summon the stars and summon the planets around him and interact with just the cosmic being behind, but also Yuki showing that her ties to this dragon. Eventually, all of them were able to dispatch what they believed as this Oni and find themselves in a place where they found Toshiro. Toshiro, after days of feeling what was in between a balance of reality and a balance of a dream state that one, you could feel everything but not touch, you can smell but not see, opposites in every aspect of this, only to come after what looks like the summary of Yuki, your teacher, in front of you, Joyi, the youngest of the Lamb family, as representation, but also a gentleman named Ivan here. Where we will begin is right at the edge of the forests and mountains, right where Busan, the temple, being 10 miles away from this location, after being lost in these woods. You find yourself on the opposite end. Toshiro, calmly sitting, still lost and still hazy after coming to the realities of his situation. Joyi, Ivan, and Yuki all around. The time today, as you can feel, the weather here, it's been a little bit weird lately because although it would be the end of summer, the temperature here is at about 60 degrees. It's not snowing, it's not dipped any further than that, but the humidity is relatively low as well. The animals that would normally be around here, some of the songbirds, have not shown any signs. The actions are the groups. What would you like to do?
I'll still be holding this mochi that I was handing to Shiro. It's probably mango flavor, almost this like muted yellow, and she's just grinning at you from like side to side, just literally edge to edge, just waiting.
So I look over. Joyi?
Toshiro, it's been so long.
Doko kara? Where is this?
Some forest, right? Yuki? Sensei?
That's correct. Forest
Yuki-san.
filled with many spirits.
Why are you here?
Silly boy. I'm here to retrieve you.
I've been gone?
You have.
I can't remember anything. How long has it been?
I'm going to ask the DM approximately.
Given the travel that you've had,
Like now with everything from the beginning.
correct. Given the travel that you've had, the times that you've spent here, the food that you've eaten, about doing a rough calculation, it's been approximately about almost 2 weeks from the last time that Toshiro was notified, from the time that you had left House Miyazaki.
It's been about 2 weeks. Is there anything you remember before the cloudiness in your mind?
2 weeks, you said?
2, yes.
I don't even remember coming to this forest. Where are my men? There were 7 of us.
I think there was this ambush that happened.
They did not make it. You were the sole survivor. And I'm grateful for that.
Those men, their families trusted their lives in me. I will visit them when we get back.
But for now,
Is there anything
Yuki
else?
passes her water skin to Toshiro. Drink up first, then talk.
I turn to Yuki and I say, but didn't Boy survive? What is happening with Boy?
I have his soul in this stone. And Yuki reaches into her bag and shows it. And it seems to kind of illuminate, but it's like a pulsing light. So it's very much like the time frame for Boy's soul being in this gem is temporary. And it's that flicker. This can only hold for so long. But hopefully,
Did I hear? Oh, go ahead. Finish, Brianna.
hopefully we can connect his soul back with his body.
Did I hear Joyi mention Boy?
Yes, she would have said it out loud.
So I kind of close my eyes. Boy, the cook from Masen?
Yeah,
He was out here?
Correct.
What was he doing out here?
he said he was there at the temple. you saw it all happen. He came back to Qorvi to warn us, to tell us you were missing.
Oh, he did volunteer to go with us. But you have his soul, so he did not make it.
That is to be determined. There are ways around.
I must tell you the truth. He did make it back to the village, but he came back out with us to come find you, to direct us towards where you had gone missing when we got to this village, this town.
And that is where he got injured. And hopefully we can save him.
He was hurt by my men. There was a miscommunication of sorts, and they felt threatened. So they had misfired.
That boy, such a big heart, but combat is not his thing. And I'm going to glance over. Where is Ivan in relation to Joey and Yuki?
From the position that he went in, he's been, I would ask you, Ivan, would you be closer to the jungle or closer to the group speaking right now?
I'd probably be somewhere in the middle. I would have stuck near Mujun. So wherever he is, I'm kind of like looking over at him, kind of trying to gauge what his thoughts on this whole thing are. He stuffed his pipe and he started to smoke a little bit as he's looking over, and just kind of like, I have no stake in this. I'm here to help.
And you would see Mujin with his hands almost sitting in the lotus position, both of his sets of his arms, one's in the middle doing this, the other set doing this, and the other one pointing downwards. And you would see with his eyes closed, his eyes moving rapidly as he's sitting there and chanting to himself. Doesn't seem that he would be responding, but you would actually notice as he's doing this an illuminated aura around him.
So as I gaze around, Ivan, I wouldn't know. Would I know Mujin?
Mujin, you would know. You'd be one of he would be one of the monks from the northern temples. Very much almost as young as Joey, or very similar in age-wise to Joey.
Okay. So I'm going to look over and point at Ivan, but look at Yuki. Dare desu ka? I do not recognize that person. Mujin, I do.
He is a foreigner, but he has come to assist, and he's been very helpful thus far. Trustworthy, on the other hand, to be determined.
So, you four are the rescue party. So things did not go definitely how I had planned. And I'm going to walk towards Ivan and bow.
Ivan at this time, probably like, because he's just like looking at Mujin, since he's the one he's kind of grown closest to in this time. And he's kind of like waving his hand in front of his face and then trying to like poke at the aura. And of course, making sure he's not blowing the smoke in his face. He's kind of keeping away, so that's not disturbing him. But he's just kind of like walking around him. He'll kneel down sometime or crouch down and be like, "So, what do you make of this?" And then right as he sees Toshiro approaching, he will stand up and kind of brush his knees off and, "Oi!"
So I address Ivan, Domo. And in front of you is a 7-foot Ozamar in plate armor. It would be black with gold highlights here and there. In the center chest would be the Miyazaki crest. On his back would be the handle of his Odachi. And I would bow in reverence to you and thank you for joining my friends to find me. I guess my original mission did not go well.
No problem. Just don't eat me. He's kind of,
And I tilt my head in kind of curiosity, like,
you're a massive mother trucker.
Size is not a thing. It's just how I was born. And I look over at Joey and I nod.
And Ivan will kind of chuckle and, I mean, yes, it's about how you use it, but size does come in many forms and it's very important in many cases. But I feel really bad about whatever you were up against if you weren't able to fight it.
I wish I can remember what it was. There were 7 of us. I took 5 good men. Boy is a good man, but combat is not his skill. But he wanted to come, so I foolishly let him come because I am close with his family and did not want to disappoint him. I went against my better judgment, and I should have had him stay.
Why didn't you take me? Why didn't you ask me for any of my men? I could have helped.
I look at Joey. Yes, you could have. Like I said, I took House Miyazaki men, except for Boy, because of the family relation. It is no slight against House Lamb. I did not think it would be that big a deal. You know Qorvi as good as I. It never becomes something where we need a large group or force. So I just took the men from the house and thought we could bring the monks back. And I kind of get a light bulb moment where I remembered the monks. And that's when I say that. It's like, oh, the monks. Yes, I do remember the monks. We did go after the monks that were missing. Busan, we should go.
Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Your name, this is Toshiro, right?
Right?
You said something about your memory. You can't remember much.
I can't remember trekking out until Yuki mentioned Boy. The monks just came back to me just now, but everything in between I don't remember. But if I went to find the monks, then that means I must get back to Busan.
I'd like to see if I could get you to remember a bit more. As he's going to tuck his pipe into his breastplate piece. Do you mind sitting down for a second? I'd like to try something.
And I look over at Yuki because I'm a warrior. I don't know much of Mystic. So I look at Yuki. Can I trust this man?
Again, as I said, slowly but surely we are discovering whether we can trust him. But for now, he's done us no harm. And then she looks over at Ivan and kind of gives a look like, don't try anything or else. And then she looks back like at Toshiro, and that's like a quick look, and then back to Toshiro. It'll be fine.
So I nod and I follow Ivan's instructions.
Ivan will have him sit back down on the rock. Try and get eye level with me. You're a bit of a tall fucker. Ooh. Sit down for a second. Give me your arm. Grab his arm, grab his bicep. Ooh, wow. Oh, you got nice muscles. Now, let me do with this. As he's going to kind of massage the brim of his nose and then his temples, and then he's going to lift up the eye patch. And he's going to turn his hands around, pulling them outward, and then both middle fingers towards your head. And then we'll pull out. And we'll hold there, and he's going to cast Lesser Restoration. and see if that does anything.
What does it look like when you cast the spell?
As Ivan kind of does the whole hand movement and then puts his hands open by the forehead of Toshiro, he's actually going to touch his middle fingers and then going to go in a full circle around his temples to the back of his head. And then his hands will hold and then pull back along his hairline. And his eyes will completely go like let's say black. It'd probably be just like a darker hue than his normal, like speckled gray blue eyes.
Toshiro, you would see him approach you, place your hands as he does this and holds on to you. I would assume that you would consent to this. As what looks like he goes and holds, and you would actually see what looks like the wings on Toshiro's back almost want to come up, but the part that gets your attention, Ivan, is all but a fragment of a second. You're the only one to see this, but you can see an eye open right in the middle of his forehead and then just close and seal shut, as if it's just a momentary look. Toshiro, with the restoration spell activated, I can give you one piece of information from Busan or one piece of information from Asen, one piece of information from the forest around you. You choose.
Busan.
What you would remember from Busan is the time all of your men and boy all celebrated into the night. You would remember the monks warning to keep everything down. Noise was an issue here. But you slept. You also woke. And the sleep paralysis that took you to watch this greater demon get back up after your men thought they had killed it. To stand and watch it as their weaknesses were put to the ground, drunk with alcohol, drunk with whatever libation they had chosen that night. One by one, ripped to pieces, all in front of you, to the point where you can remember this thing grabbing you by the head and digging its thumb into your forehead, to the point where you can hear the cracking of your skull. The sounds of it look like bugs crawling inside of your head, like a cockroach tapping in the inside of your skull. Let it go. Last time you would remember yourself being Toshiro or any remnant of the House Miyazaki be the moment Yuki would wake you up now. Congratulations, Ivan, for clearing the first part of his memory. The actions are yours. What would you guys like to do?
So I see this. Am I still in? I'm not sure on lesser restoration. Am I like in a trance or anything, or am I?
I would
aware?
say for the instance of this case, the minute you would open up your eyes, it would have cleared the vision. You would have seen Ivan kind of wrap his hands around your face.
So after I open my eyes, I put my hand down.
Ivan's going to step away. Putting his
And I
patch
look at
back on.
Ivan. All things I see are true.
I certainly hope so. This is more about your own memory, what's in your noggin, than what I'm putting there. I hope.
So I look at Yuki and Joyi. We thought we had vanquished it. We thought we had cleansed the area of this thing. My men had the revelry. I went to bed. And when I awoke, the screams, men screaming, yelling. It wasn't dead. It took them all. These are the best that House Miyazaki had, and it took them all. And when it came for me, it pressed into the middle of my forehead. I thought my skull was going to explode. There were insects all over me. And going back to the DM, that's the last I remember, yeah?
That's correct.
Of that encounter.
That's correct.
And other than that memory and the time you found me, that's the only recollection I have. I'm not sure why I still stand before you.
You know the answer to that question. It's something I've told you several times before. Again, never forget. Oftentimes, the rougher the road, it leads you on the path to greatness, what you're meant to be, who you're meant to be.
I only know to protect the land. Why it spared me, I have no answers.
We won't always have the answers. But again, it's something I've told you. You're meant for great things, to make a difference, especially for the people of Qorvi. Don't forget that.
I kind of have a troubled look on my face. I take in Yuki's words, but it's hard for me to fully grasp it because of everything that came up with those memories. And I address the group again. Busan, we should go back to Busan.
I walk over and put my hand on his arm, on Toshiro's arm, because I'm not tall enough to touch his shoulder. As a very petite girl. She kind of just gently rubs his arm and says, Toshiro, I can see that you are taking this burden heavily on your shoulders, losing your men, the responsibility. I understand that. You know I do. You know I don't take it lightly either. I feel the pain. I've lost a couple myself over the journey the last few days. There is some form of curse in these lands around here. I don't know if you know this, but it seems to be affecting people that have been standing in the soil for too long. Right, Yuki? Right, Ivan?
Correct.
It's poisoning people, making them rabid and crazy. I had to put 2 of them out of their misery. My soldiers, my own soldiers. I don't know what's happening.
I look at Joey. You take your lessons from Yuki very well. You know the weight of leadership and loss. I am not familiar with any of these types of things. When you say the land is soiled, there's evidence of it, or it's just a feeling.
Physical evidence. They seem to
Corruption.
be, yeah, almost acidic. It's burning people inside out. It's black ichor oozing. Yeah, it's not good.
The land that they walk upon, that we walk upon, is unclean. It is that takes over one's mind, one's will, turns them into something that is unrecognizable.
It is cursed.
So I look at them and I look at Yuki. I do not remember any lessons to fight something like this, but we must go to Busan. I am glad all of you are here. All of you seem to have skills that will help what I intended to do. We came with force, and force wasn't good enough.
I have a question, Toshiro. You seem to have regained some of your memories, correct? From thanks to Ivan here.
After Ivan's spell,
Do you remember what the demon looked like?
DM?
When it was this, you would. This creature's mask that would very much have tusks that come out. It would almost look like as if the mask itself is welded to its face, but you can see the infection that's on the side of the circumference. As you can see, it's been almost plastered to it, as if it was jointed in. The muscles and the sinews and everything around it. There is an obnoxious smell that comes with this thing. It's not just sulfur, it's rot, it's corruption all the way through. You would also recognize from this thing its nails, because the minute it was driving its thumb into your eye, it would almost feel as if the roaches would be releasing under its nails itself, as if the bugs lived in this creature itself. Because the one thing you'd recognize when it would open its mouth, this centipede would come right out and go right up into its ear and go right back in.
So I would have been able to explain that to the group.
That sounds unpleasant to say the least. Okay, we had fought something in the forest not long ago, but nothing like that. I think that is possibly 1,000 times worse. So it's a miracle you survived, Toshiro.
I agree.
Remember what I've always taught you both. With some battles, you can't win with mere strength. It's here. Don't forget that. And the most important thing is to not let fear take over. This being has a way of corrupting your mind and having you question everything that you stand for and believe in. But fear is only as deep as the mind allows.
So I look at Joey, and I cannot remember in my lifetime anything such as this. And I look at Yuki, as senior advisor of House Miyazaki. Have you heard of any stories of anything coming to Qorvi like this?
And DM, we confirmed that Yuki had previously, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I have. In my years, I have. And it is definitely a formidable foe.
You were part of the group then that faced it?
No. So I don't always hold the answers to some of these questions, but it's something we can figure out together. Together we are stronger.
Right.
C4.
Yes.
Do you know what we fought just now in the forest? Do you know what that is?
DM, is a confirmation that it is in fact the Oni. It was the Oni.
Could you explain further to me? I don't understand. That thing nearly killed me.
It's a demon. They deceive, they corrupt, manipulate. It's what they do best. They have different ways of doing it. And they thrive off of the very essence of the spirits.
I'm glad I didn't die to its hands.
They hide behind things, not wishing to appear. They often have different appearances sometimes. It varies.
So what I'm getting is that there are a lot of demons in this area. Starting to appear and gather.
And that
Is this-
we have to get to the bottom of it and stop it before it's too late.
I don't think this is what you signed up for, Ivan.
Yeah, that's definitely not what I signed up for, but I'll be trying to get Master Toshiro back home first and then to return. That was our
Yeah.
first mission.
We should go back to Busan and see what happened there.
Must prepare properly. And I must attend to boy. See what can be done.
Head towards Busan.
And of course, Yuki will, before they do head back, since the body is still, basically embalmed and has been kept, to try to see if it can be restored, his life.
And you would come up to him. How would you interact with it? I mean, you have the body there. It's been kind of held off into the side there. It's been wrapped, so you can tell just as you look at his face, he's not breathing. The body doesn't show any signs of rigor. It's still movable. It's kind of dead weight. What would you like to do?
Yuki's going to step forward and, like, carefully placing her hand to boy's face, even though it may be wrapped, or just kind of taking that moment, because there's still that sadness and still a slight uncertainty that what she will attempt to do will even work. But she's going to try to attempt to transfer after she takes the stone from her bag once again and placing it in the center where the heart would be on his chest. And carefully, almost as if just in a prayerful state, just focusing. And if there is any way to for her to do anything that it basically would bring the two together to become one.
Here's what I'm going to need you to do. Give me an Arcana when you get a chance.
Yes.
While Yuki's doing this, I would have moved towards where she was.
You would see the same body of boy laying there. Is there anything from Ivan or Joyi while this is happening?
So just to clarify, DM, Busan is the place where the arrows were fired, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm gonna be scouting around just ahead to see if there's any dangers. I just want to make sure everything's okay for us to step in. Yeah, I'm gonna fly up above the city, the town.
Okay. So I'll have you there. Ivan, anything for you while Yuki and Toshiro are walking over to the boy's body?
Ivan would probably join them just to like watch this whole process, and being a man of the soul would offer his help if let me just offer my help. Mistress Yuki, not to step in where I might not be needed, but being one of the spirit and of the higher divines, If you'd like any help with this sort of process, I'd be more than willing to offer my services.
I appreciate your help. The more of that spiritual presence, the better chance we have of saving this boy's life. Me in the state that I'm in currently, I cannot do it alone.
So all those involved, Yuki, what did you roll?
That was a 19.
19. Toshiro and Ivan, give me Arcana checks as well.
I should probably get dice out. That'd be smart.
That's good.
So used to not rolling
Ah.
dice.
So it must be Yuki's teaching because this is not my forte, and I rolled an 18.
Gotcha. All right, 18.
And what roll would this be?
Arcana.
Arcana.
Yep.
That's intelligence based. Ha ha ha. That is a 15.
15. All three of you, Ivan, when you are trying to help Yuki, when you're looking over, what are you doing to kind of infuse this with him? Are you using your abilities? Like, what are we seeing from your character right now?
So she's basically saying basically a spiritual prayer that she's uttering, but it's very, very soft. So it's very similar to the Buddhist prayer. And she's saying, just as the soft rain fills the streams, pour into the rivers and join together in the oceans, may your soul and your body become one, my friend. And there is like a energy that seems to kind of even if you can't see it, you feel that there's a bigger presence there, and there is a light that illuminates, and you see where the stone underneath her hand is again that pulsing, almost as if a heart that's beating.
You would see this beat go faster and faster and faster, and it'd get to the point where you would see the stone begin to meld into him. And there was a point of this where he was wrapped up and embalmed, but he looks and he takes the deepest breath. You can just see him just look around. He's confused. You see him just eyes going every direction rapidly.
And in that moment, Yuki is saying, shh, shh, calm, be at peace. I know you are afraid, but we're with you. You're here with us. You're here. And she's cradling the side of his face and kind of his head as if like a mother caressing the top of their son's head. It's kind of that same nurturing moment that's
You
happening.
would see the same energy around you get brighter and brighter, but begin to wane. At the time it begins to wane, the ground begins to get darker and darker. You just see boy look and just, Ivan, what are you doing as far as you're 15? What does it do for him?
Ivan, with his 15, he would have pulled out his pipe at this time and stuffed more, and then just blowing out this deep exhale of smoke. He's trying to almost anchor the body, so the smoke is wrapping around the body, almost trying to open it up in preparation for the soul. And as he sees it start to get darker, Yuki, we need more light. I can do so much for him, trying to keep him here and open him up to the presence of your soul and his own soul, but we're going to need more of that light.
Understood.
He's going to take another deep breath. He's going to pull up the eye patch and now start to use his eye as well.
And I'm going to attempt to try another spell. and she's muttering underneath her breath again, but she's doing healing word in order to try to at a higher level to try to help to assist with that process that Ivan is also
You would
doing.
see what looks like the gold shimmering begin to happen around you, and it almost looks like the scales that you had once shown when you were defending Zhou Yi begin to show just the silhouette of a presence. It's not fully displayed, but you can see it as it's pulsing, similar to how the stone was pulsing as a heart. It's almost doing the same with you. Your healing word, how much? Go ahead and roll it off, and let me know what you got.
Will do.
Toshiro, as you can see this, you see Ivan blowing smoke, something very unfamiliar, but Yuki actually going over the written words. You would see here what sounds like the same prayers and the same undulate or the same words being spoken over this over Boy's body. You can tell by Boy's eyes, they'd open up occasionally. He takes a couple words, but he starts to fade, and you can see some of his life force draining into the ground where Ivan is trying to blow smoke to stabilize. Yuki, what did you get?
11.
11. Toshiro, what do you want to do?
So with that 18, what can I interpret of what's going on here?
So when you look at him, you can tell what looks like as the smoke goes around him, a part of his body gets anchored to the ground, but his soul is fighting its way back into its body, but it's having a hard time connecting. You would see it trying to connect, and it would just try to move over him, but it seems to like want and wane away.
And you hear Yuki in the back. It's almost like like Iyashi, 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 and then you just hear it just going
over again.
So can I relate any of what I'm seeing to what the Protector Azamar would be? Like,
as an Azamar, you know exactly what you're capable of doing.
Would it be some kind of celestial?
When you're ready.
Aura?
Yep. When you're ready.
So I'm going to close my eyes and concentrate. The wings start to come out, and I'm going to enable my it's been a while.
Yep.
So it would be Radiant Soul.
Same
and
point.
How do I relate any of that to what's going on to help Yuki or Ivan?
And I would say exactly point. When you hear Ivan yelling and screaming for more light, you see Yuki trying to get more gold to show, or at least more of her abilities. But at this point, you can tell with Toshiro, his wings illuminating, and it looks very much like a halo around it, but it actually illuminates you look at about a 60-foot by 60-foot area around him. As if normal day, and he just kind of keeps his eyes closed and breathes. You've got your light.
I'll do. He's gonna take one last blow a ring around, and right where that smoke ring goes down around the stone. And he's going to start almost like bending in a way, trying to pull the light down, pulling from Yuki down to the body, pulling from Toshiro down towards the body. And he'll just hold as his body's like shaking, trying to keep the light there.
You would hear this. A large blast of air coming from the center of his body, but you would actually look as everything is clear. His head laying next to Yuki, Ivan with the smoke finally dissipating, Toshiro as his wings begin to calmly relax. And Boy looks up. Hi. Holy shit. He just starts to feel his body, and he just kind of goes over his injuries that he had, the arrow that he'd feel the hole there. He just looks at Toshiro, looks at Ivan, looks at you, Yuki, and he's lost for words.
I'm going to look at Yuki and Ivan. It worked.
appears to have worked.
Ivan's
So I
going.
look at.
Thank
Go
the
ahead.
heavens.
Ivan's going to, because he was kind of over the body, as then he's going to kind of be pushed back a few feet from the blast, and he's going to lean down, doing the same crouch. He's going to kiss Boy on the forehead and like slap him lightly, just like pat pat. Oh, you're a lot of work, but I'm glad you're back. As he's going to stand back up and kind of look over at Toshiro and Yuki, and that was a lot. He's going to walk back towards Mujun.
So I look down at Boy. Boy, you almost had me having to go see your mom.
And you just
Don't
see him
ever do that again.
midway through that comment. He just runs up to you and just like you would see his leg almost give out. It's almost very different because you would know Boy to be a fisherman and he would love to swim and run. But you can see at this point the injuries may have caused a little bit of permanent damage because the first step kind of gives way and he just falls onto you and he just kind of holds onto you, Toshiro. And you would see him as he's holding onto you, just see him he just clutches you.
And I hold on to him and I look at Ivan and Yuki and I nod. Domo. Because I wouldn't have the explanation if he doesn't come home.
And then Yuki, of course, she bows. It wasn't his time.
And then I push Boy away for a little bit and I look at him. I let you come with me for reasons other than the fact that you belong there. This is not your fight. You
Fisherman.
have a different path to follow. Combat is not yours, and it is not a dishonor. We all have a role to play, but don't ever put me in this position again because I don't want to face your mom.
And you see him just look and he smiles and he tells you, if we ever get back to the village, I'll never stop fishing. I'll stay there.
And don't forget the fish soup.
With the lemongrass that you like. I know exactly what you're saying.
Right?
And he smiles and he says, and he always makes the rice just a little bit more softer for you and your family. I want to get back to my kitchen. And he's...
So I'm not the most affectionate of people, but I give him a smile and I look at Yuki and I'm going to show this look of gratitude to Yuki and to Ivan. And then
Ivan will do the same bow.
And Yuki would have basically been kind of covering her face with her kimono, like laughing, just seeing the interaction of just, Toshiro mentioning that he didn't want to have to tell Boy's mom. And because Yuki knows Boy's mom, so she knows that it's true. So she's laughing, but at the same time, just kind of in that moment, just relishing in that brief moment of happiness there.
You've got Busan. You've got the village that's quite below the forest to go through. But Zhou Yi has flown above. She's taken the way around, assuming this, as she's flying towards the temple. What would you three like to do? Shall we head that way? Would you like to do something else?
Is it possible for a rest before, like as far as like resting along the road, like if we take different watches?
Absolutely.
Or yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You would make your way back through, and with Zhou Yi going above the forest, I'll give you the option. You can go around the forest, which would probably get you there in I'd say about 10 miles comfortably. Or you can go through the forest, just like you've had before, and probably cut the travel distance down by half. But Zhou Yi flying does give you an advantage. She would be able to spot things and give you directions as far as which direction to go in the forest.
Could I whistle for my horse?
Absolutely.
could I cut down that 10 miles around the forest with the horse?
If you have the horse there, that's correct. Yes, but the horse was originally at Busan when you'd chosen to fly through. So the only way to get through there would be to go through there, and assuming the horse is still in the forest, you'd be able to whistle for it if it was in close proximity.
I want to try whistling for it first before we make that decision. If that's okay, and see if it comes to me.
Give me an animal handling check when you get a chance.
Yeah. My character's not very wise or very smart. This is fun. She hits things. That's all she does. That's a 10.
10. All right. And easy as you whistle into the air, and about a minute goes by, 2 minutes and 3 minutes. And the only thing you hear that kind of reciprocates that is the sound of maybe parakeets, but no horses.
God damn it, that -1 modifier. Okay, I'm gonna fly back over above everyone with their ritual that was happening. And I say, I tried to help. I tried to get my horse, but I can scout for you above the forest if you want to go through, but it could be safer to go around. And
Is this something, DM, that basically Yuki would know whether or not it's really time sensitive for something of this nature, or would we
So
be
given
able
the
to
fact that
help
you've
that?
had the original mission to return Toshiro back to the village, it's up to you. Toshiro is asked to return to Busan, maybe to find out additional information. But if you feel like you've got everything you needed and you've successfully completed what you believe, it's up to you as a collaborative group. I would tell you, going around the forest, at least what you would know is that it would take some time. Going through the forest, though, this was probably one of the first times that you had taken the journey through the path, so it's hard to ascertain. But
Okay.
give me an investigation check, and I'll see what else I can do for you.
Do I remember the forest, DM?
No.
I did not do as high for this roll, so that was only a 6,
Okay.
unfortunately.
did I
And
not?
what I would tell you from the forest, at least some of the walks through, especially as you exited as a group, you were able to use a lot of the dragon's ability to kind of help the spirits separate and move away. Now, assuming that could be done again, that's up to you. But the 6 that I would give you is that it's hard to ascertain that the travel through the path or through the forest would be any more less threatening, I guess, in the initial pass.
Okay.
Question:
Yes.
Have we left the Busan, and we're heading to that juncture of like whether we go forest or around?
That's correct.
Okay. As we get close to the forest, Ivan will kind of start to, wherever he's at in the group, he starts to kind of wobble. And then you kind of see him double over himself and just kind of fall to the ground. His hands on the ground, just
Toshiro, help me. And Yuki goes over to Ivan to help him up, and I'm waiting for Toshiro to assist, since Yuki is technically a lot smaller than both of them combined.
So I look at Boy. Follow me. I know you're a little slow at this point, but I need to go help Yuki.
And he walks with you, and you would just see the same kind of his right leg as far as it being very, very limp. But he would move as fast as he can, particularly when he sees Ivan in distress, given that what he has done for him. So you just see him run as fast as he can, or a kind of hobble as much as he can.
So I look at Yuki. Hi, what do you need from me?
Well, let's begin with helping the poor man up. And Yuki's kind of like trying to assist with one of Ivan's large biceps and lifting him up.
I go on the other side and I lift him up.
Ivan was
Are
like
you
starting
okay?
to shake a bit, and then he clutches at the eye patch he has, and he like tears it off, and he's like looking frantic as his eyes are like completely white, like this bright beautiful white color to them, like almost a pearl, a glazed pearl over them. And he's just going to be looking around and grab one hand out towards Toshiro's face and just
Ivan, what is happening? What is going on? Are you okay?
Do I see any of this
I
happening?
need a confirmation from Ivan and Toshiro. Ivan, when you grab Toshiro's face, Toshiro, do you allow him?
Do I have time to react or no?
I would
It depends on
say
that.
it would be he would see him in anguish, and when as he's doing it, it's almost as if he's reaching forward, but you would see his eyes go completely white as he's doing this. You can see on his face and the lack of just there's a point of all of this where you can tell that it's not painful, but you can definitely tell he's lost within this.
So I would grimace and kind of slowly move back just because of the unknown of what's going on.
In that
Right.
motion, Yuki actually, since he reaches out for Toshiro, she instead reaches out for both sides of Ivan's temples. Like she's like having to like reach up because obviously he's taller than her to either side of his temple to try to see if she can grasp what magic, what is happening, and if I need to do an arcana or something to know what's
So,
going on.
What
can
I
do
would
that.
give you, Yuki, is the minute you touch Ivan's hand or Ivan's temples, you would see a very familiar village on fire. Hundreds of Qorvi citizens either drowning, hung. You would see the Miyazaki signs burning on the ground. You would see a majority of the buildings alone for House Lamb and the rest of it burning. The bay that was once the crown jewel of Qorvi, blackened, filled with what looks like this oil slick that's kind of moved over. At the same time, you would just see that same Oni sitting in the middle of the town, just sitting there, just kneeling over and smiling the entire time as he draws the symbol of House Miyazaki into the sand. What would you like to do? As long as you hold on to Ivan, this is all playing out in you.
Yuki's holding on a little bit longer just to try to figure out if this is something that is happening in the present or if it's a vision of future events.
You would hold on as long as you can, and you would see him make a circle around the Miyazaki sign. It would be the first rune for death. It would repeat the same rune for death on the other side. He would rake one for safety and crush it into the ground. And at the same time, he looks up. It's almost as if you turn, you can see Joyi, or at least whatever it's a resemblance of Joyi, hanging in the front of the city with the same resemblance of Ivan and what looks like a broken sword of Toshiro's.
And in that moment, she steps back. It's Ivan's eyes, like when Yuki looks at Ivan, are they back to normal at this point?
Are they back to normal, DM?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You never mentioned you were a seer.
Going to 50% of a seer. I don't know what that was.
I fear it's a glimpse of the future. What's to come if we fail at what we are arriving to do.
So I'm going to turn to Yuki and have a look of concern. What did you see?
I saw Qorvi and many of its people fire and burning and just the land of Qorvi. Destruction and people hanging and she looks at Ju Yi for a moment and then looks back at Toshiro. The Oni. He was there at House Miyazaki. He was writing on the ground. It's death. It's what I mentioned before. The Oni. They thrive off of death and destruction.
In this moment, I will fly straight down. As I fly down, I'm going to use my healing hands on Boy because I see the limp and try and make sure he's okay.
Give me your hit points when you get a chance.
4.
You would see the hand go over to him and almost the energy go into his leg. And he would look and smile and he would try to jump. But when he lands, you hear him just go, still a little.
Not quite, my friend.
And he smiles at you. You would see him as he's smiling, and he looks as he kind of stands up a little bit more, kind of. I think if I make it a little bit of a, he grabs what looks like a stick and tries to like wrap it around just a little bit easier for him to walk.
Like a stint. I look to everyone and I say, as nice as it would be to go back to Busan to investigate, from what Yuki has now said and seen with Ivan, I think it's best. And you can see her starting to kind of calculate in her brain, like war moves, almost like this is war and a battle is commencing soon. She can tell that she has put on her adult hat and she's ready. She says, I think it's best if we head back to Qorvi and prepare and protect and be ready for this invasion rather than wait here, I guess, or delay any longer.
I'm going to look at Yuki after hearing the information that she passed on.
And Yuki seems a bit like lost in thought. And it's almost like you see where there were tears forming in Yuki's eyes at how real that vision seemed in that moment for her when she touched Ivan.
So yeah, I will stand in front of Yuki. Yuki-san, the tale you've told me of the past, is there anyone you know of that would know how to end this?
Yuki takes a second to kind of compose herself and, out of character, TM, do I know?
What was the question?
If basically I know of someone who basically we could get to assist us in trying to take out this owner.
Hail Mary.
Yes.
Yeah, I had asked Yuki about
would-
if she knew anybody
Yeah.
On the information of how
Information.
it
How it can
ended
be
on that memory she had.
I would even
she
say
wasn't there.
this, Yuki, given everything that's happened with you guys, the slight small amount of travel that you've got going on, the little bit of rest that you guys have had, taking into consideration what you've seen through Ivan's hands as far as this attack that he's had, it's hard to ascertain, because the one thing you're looking at is that you have one from House Lamb, the youngest from House Lamb, a foreigner that has shown you more compassion than some of the others of the soldiers that were here. and the warrior that, from what you know, is the backbone of that house, and a monk using the same words you told him about finding strength within him to keep focus. If you're looking for people to fight with this, you're surrounded by them. And that's what you're looking at. The only people willing to go all the way the distance with it, to keep the secrets, is an 18-year-old that has seen less combat than most of the family, but she's the strongest of her house. And a warrior who's not even been through training. And a person that you barely trust. So I ask you, Yuki, do you feel like you have the ability to do this? Because as this all racks your brain, the dragon that is the foundation stones of Qorvi, that runs through your blood, you hear the one thing that has been echoed to you. If it's worth it, you'll fight. And if you're together, it's always worth it. Would you
Forever
like
as
to-
one. And Yuki, in that moment, you'll see where she takes a look at her katana that is tied to her hip, and she holds it in her hand. And that was where the writing in Draconic, where it was engraved. And basically, as she mutters that, she's looking at what in Draconic is forever as one. And she looks at it and holds it tightly, and then she ties it again to her hip.
This is what this is. Miss Oni, you know, you lose to this is it for Qorvi. The people that are all around you, they don't know what they're facing. Because this thing isn't just going to come for your physical body.
Wants to take our souls. Understand what is to be done. Even if it means I take my last breath, I will put everything into protecting this land and its people, whatever the cost.
I look at Yuki and nod. You know where my heart lies. I take my lead from you. You have become senior advisor to House Miyazaki, and I will follow any instruction you give me.
And Yuki looks at Toshiro. You're no longer a little boy. You've grown into quite the man. I'm proud of you, Toshiro. You know what's most important, and you keep that close to your heart. It's that heart that will in turn make a difference. And she smiles at Toshiro, and let's carry on. It's up to us.
Any actions for you, Ivan? Ivan's on mute.
Ha. Sorry, had a pipe in my mouth. Ivan's watching all of this happen, and he looks over to Mujun. Mujun, you've been rather quiet in all of this. What are your thoughts?
His eyes open. You would see as he's doing this, he would close and he would start to write what looks like symbols onto the ground. You would just see him move his hands as if he's drawing circles and orbs, but it's hard to ascertain again what kind of designs. But you would see as he's doing this, he grabs what looks like blue sand from his hand and slams it on one of the circles. He grabs what looks like orange and it gets to the point of confusion, but he stops and you see him just, and he just like clears it all. And then you just see him fall asleep as he passes out in a pile.
So is that normal?
He gets up. It's normal for our city. These are traditions. He goes back to closing his eyes and focusing on his newly acquired view.
Now I must ask you, Ivan. As Juyi has already said, this is more than what you signed up for. But it appears we are at war with this being. But I fear that it has connected with you in some way. So there's no certainty that even if you left, that it won't haunt you as well.
You make a good point. Death comes for all of us at some time. Just some of us gotta greet it with a smile. As he does his same old grin with the scars kind of peeking upward. I'd personally like to make sure that we're not going this fight half-assed. Do we have anything at our disposal to possibly arm ourselves with more than, like, pats his axes? More than what I got right now. It seems like you guys got wings and you're 7 feet tall. And he's got 6 arms. And powder. Do we got anything else other than how we got our arses kicked a little bit earlier? Because if we go up against this thing, I'm going to assume that it's going to have a lot more fucking power behind it.
We must keep in mind, we were separated during that time. So yes, it was more difficult to defeat. But together, with all of our strength, we may have a different outcome.
And as this conversation's happening, Joey kind of just looks down, just really running things through in her head right now. She's struggling. As this conversation continues, she's just kind of quieter than usual, let's say.
The path ahead is clear. It is not an easy one, but is one that we must take. And together. It is the only way. Juyi, I see that you're deep in thought.
Wasn't ready for a war. I don't think any of us are. Look at us.
No one ever is. Trust me, I've seen several.
I know.
Well,
I
forget
believe
I
you.
said that.
Oh, C4. And she'll just look down at her tattoos that she has on her arms, which is the Chinese symbols for strength. And her family surname, and it means forest. And she'll kind of just look at those and she kind of whispers under her breath, Gaio, 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 which is keep going, just keep going. And she'll look to all of you one by one. We're not going to lose. I hope you all know that. We're not going to lose, because if we lose, everyone dies. So that's not an option. And she kind of smirks. closes his eyes for a second and she kind of tenses her jaw and you can see it. She's holding her resolve. Opens back up and says, let's do it. We'll do this. I'm not letting it kick my ass again. It's not happening.
So, the golden question. Do we go to Busan to learn more about this creature? Or would you like to go to the village?
I look at Yuki. I need to see what happened in Busan. That is the last thing I know of the monks. And I look at Joyi. I am always content with peace, but always prepared for war. Yuki-san has always gave us the best instruction. I'm also at peace with death, which makes fighting easier. And you are correct. If we lose, the land loses. We will not lose.
And
And I look at
Juyi,
Ivan and kind of give him like a little wink because he has that little different attitude that I'm not used to in Qorvi. So I'm trying to pick up on it a little bit.
And Yuki says, Juyi, remember, one of the lessons that with every defeat, you learn, you adapt, you become stronger. So again, that will be what leads us to victory.
I learned that I went hand to hand and it didn't go very well last time. I had a spear in my chest.
But let's say we try again, this time without the spear.
Let's
Yes?
hope so. I don't want Ivan's hand in me again, preferably. Oh wait, that came out wrong.
And then Yuki darts her eyes instantly at Ivan.
Ivan's hands go up and he turns. He's like, no, not
That is not what I insinuated, but okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say she's wrong.
Ugh.
But how far is Busan from us? Or how far is the town? Because both of y'all have wings. It might be good to be able to have a scout fly forward to maybe get sight on the town. Just a thought, not sure how far it is. As well as I've heard rumor of weapons being able to be made with souls. Do any of you have any sort of these weapons? I heard they come from Qorvi.
I may know of where to find the weapon that you're looking for.
Hypothetically, it might be good to have for this fight. Just a thought, mistress. Otherwise, I'm excited
smile
to die. So
that kind of comes off my face that probably only Yuki would pick up on.
And Yuki does. She's pretty perceptive, so she picks up on it.
Ivan just smiles and I'm just saying, I'm always ready to die. Honestly, a little bit excited for it. It's a new adventure, new time, but I like to have every single box checked if at all possible. But that is just a humble Amorosian's vibe. Do with that what you will. As he's gonna head back to Mujun and like massage Mujun's shoulders. Come on, you got this. Actually, well, Mujun, can I massage your shoulders?
And then
No.
Yuki sarcastically says, I should be a little bit more concerned that this group in particular seems very anxious to find their date with death. But let's carry on.
So where shall we go? Yuki.
We're going to head to the village first.
Okay. So,
Which village?
oh,
The
we're going
village.
we're going to Qorvi. Yeah, we're going to Moss. And so we're gonna go on a quick break. When we get back on. All right, let's do it. Thanks everybody for joining us. When we get back, we'll come right to it. Thank you very much. And welcome back. Thank you everybody for coming back from the break. I know we had a little bit of things happening. I know we before we had left the group, after getting everything together, after having the time to speak to Toshiro, Ivan using a lot of his abilities to see things and kind of using his clerical abilities, which I just want to throw this out there, having a cleric that actually heals. I'm just gonna throw that. And then given the direction that we had Yuki chose to go towards the city, or towards the villages in Qorvi, you would have gone around the forest. I think that was the original intent that you had said, going around the forest and making your way there. Some of the very familiar rice fields. I think this would be coming into context, is once you got past the forest, most of the rice fields you're going to see now are on fire, or at least some form of smoldering. You would have at least seen this, because where the smoke would have came in through, you would have seen the walk. Now you've got a pathway that goes directly down into the villages, but you also have the same pathway that arcs to the left and goes towards Busan. Now, what I would show you is the village of Maasen, where House Miyazaki claims, where it claims to be, or it is located. Now, here's what I'm going to show you. To the left, you would see the temple where in Busan, where these monks were located. That still stands. You can still see the archways. You can still see the forest that surrounds it. Towards going straight, you decide to go that direction, is the villages. You can see from the direction that you're at the smoke coming from the villages now. You may choose. Which direction do we go?
So the smoke is coming from Mass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the rice fields are on fire.
You would see some of the rice fields on fire, and you would actually look. If you were to give me, if anybody would like to give me an investigation check, I will tell you what you see in the
Do
fields.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
For sure.
1 second.
No, I think they're fine. We might as well just go to Busan. That'd be
And
good.
That's a one.
14.
14, which got 14, throw out numbers.
I got 13.
13, 8.
53.
Okay. 53. Nice. I'll take the 53. No. You're like, how does he know he's cheating? 53. I'll take it.
What was it? Not a D100?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, wait.
I got an Evermore 11, Ray.
I got you on an 11. I would say the person that got the highest, looking over into the rice fields, similar to where you would have seen the children jump into the rice fields, as far as them kind of just enjoying the lays of the land. The only thing you would see there is a corpse. And this corpse sits, and it looks like at the age of at least between the age of 18 to 25, but it's further into the rice fields. And you can tell that more along the pathway towards Maas, and towards Maas, you would actually see what looks like more of these bodies littered in the roadways.
How is Boy doing?
Boy right
Is he-
now is sitting
is-
behind all or standing behind all of you. Just his mouth wide open. He's never seen this kind of destruction in the world of or in the land of Qorvi.
So I'm gonna have him jump on my back. I'm gonna look at Yuki and I'm gonna tell her I have to go this way. Busan is important, but I have to go home. And I'm gonna go towards Mawson.
You see the first Toshiro, you would see Boy come on your back, and it was just his beautiful swan-like wings or crane-like wings extend and just right up into the air. Joyi, Ivan, Yuki. Busan was the location where the monks were, and the last location that Toshiro told you that you may gain additional information. Maasen, right in front of you, as you can tell with the current situation, Toshiro is heading that way. What would you three like to do?
Who is to say this isn't an illusion like before?
Can Yuki do a little bit of she's gonna step outside and try to do a little insight to try to determine if it's another trick to lead them
Your
on the wrong
insight
path.
roll and let me know what you got.
Because that was something that I also too had the same kind of thought. Okay, so let's see. That is an 18 for insight.
You would walk down the path looking at the grounds. You would look at the rice fields, and the first part is you step off, not stepping into the rice fields. If you've ever seen that, there's a lot of water that comes into it. But the minute your foot touched the water, it's like you'd raise your sock, and it's like this, like it's like blackened tar, as if the land has been soaking in it the entire time. Now you can ascertain if that's an illusion or not, but the minute you go to take a look at your foot, it's soaking in it. It's very similar to in Busan when you had seen the three soldiers. Very similar ichor.
And Yuki, in seeing that, she kind of squats down to the ground, kind of placing a hand on the ground, and she turns towards Juyi. This is no illusion. It spreads. We have no choice. We must go on the path that Toshiro chose.
I must go home. I must protect my house and the people in Qorvi. It's my job.
Ivan, are you coming with?
I'm always along for a good time. You should know that by now. But if you want, if I could take a horse, I could rush over to Busan, get some looks at it, and then follow you short behind.
My concern is what I mentioned earlier about us separating, how we're stronger together. I fear that you being separated and you having that vision, which still is very disturbing because I think that there may be a connection between you and the Oni. I haven't quite figured it out, but that leaves you vulnerable.
I really hope there's no family resemblance. And I thought I was right good looking.
And Yuki like kind of does a smirk and kind of shakes her head.
I'm going to spread my wings and offer Yuki a ride on my back.
And Yuki accepts.
And I get the horse out and say, Ivan, Mujun, please take the ride. And we'll get there as quick as possible with the horse and myself. So do we have anyone else with us? I don't think so, right? Just to clarify. We're not missing bodies, are we? Wait, hold on.
Like we left like 10 people.
There's
The
little-
10 people are just left there.
Little Tammy is back there in the car. It's like,
All right.
Timmy's good.
So I need a confirmation just for clarity purposes. I'm gonna have Joyi fly with Yuki, but
Yep.
just for my own purposes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're omitting Busan.
Yeah.
Yes.
After that information. Oh, great DM. Yes, we must.
You can always go the other path. That's all I'm saying.
It's
Okay.
fire. There's fire. We follow the fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You walk with a little bit more pace. I mean, it's one of those where you have the horse, you fly. It's to the point where you go and just go as fast as possibly can. Toshiro being the first person to break into this, what you would see as you were flying over to this area and you had a boy on your back, with the distance that you're above, it would almost look like you're going down into a ravine. But the minute you do that, you would see parts of Maasen on fire. You would see some of the buildings on fire. But the parts that I would show you is the great arches that welcome everybody to Qorvi. Because you would see some of the Lamb soldiers. As they look, they have rope in their hand. And they begin to tie what looks like rope around the feet of a farmer. And they throw it over the archway. And you see him just... And they start to bring this up, and you can see as they hang one body upside down. They go to the next body as they do the same. And Toshiro, you can see all of this as you're flying over, as you see those that wear the lamb uniform, some of the farmers from the local villages, at least what parts of them that are left. What would you like to do?
So I'm gonna dive down and yell out, "Mate! Stop!"
And you you land, and you would see Boy just stand there, and he's just shaking. You would see the two soldiers look to you, and there would be this green glow in their eyes. You would just see them walk up to you and just bring out what look like two very elongated swords. What would you like to do, Toshiro?
So I look at them and I tilt my head. Shoru, you are House Lamb. You're here to protect Qorvi, not to terrorize the family, the people who keep this place alive.
Give me an initiative roll when you get a chance.
Bye.
Well, that sucks. That's a bad time to roll a 2, because that'll be a 9.
No.
That's a 9.
Okay, I'll be going first. Here we go.
Really?
This is why
No
I said
way.
stick together.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
2 attacks.
I wish I went to Busan now.
That is 19 and 20.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Another hit.
Okay.
Okay, first damage, short sword. 11 points of slashing damage.
Ooh.
As you see
Yeah,
two
I'm
of them.
liquid.
And it's the same where they look at you and they look at your eyes, and you see the other one. One of them try to like, it looks like spear your legs, and the other one trying to at least look and try to push you aside to go for Boy. Toshiro, what do you want to do?
Let's see here.
Go to Joyi after this.
Crying's a free action.
So I never played this fighter version.
Yep.
It says you can use your action to assume a parrying stance. So I'm going to use that. So the 19 is going to miss, and
Okay.
only the 20 hits.
All right, so that'll be double damage. That'll be 6 points of damage total slashing.
Okay.
Okay.
That's better. Better.
Okay. That's a long rest.
And then from there, I'm going to turn so Boy doesn't get hit. I'm
Okay.
going to release him and tell him to hide.
And you would see as he turns to run, the person that's going to have one opportunity attack on him.
How would he do that? Because they're facing me. He's behind me.
He's close. Yeah, he's right behind you. When you landed, he dropped to the side. Or you'd like to have him on your back? I'll give him to you on your back.
No, he'd be on my back.
Okay,
I would
go
always
for it.
have Boy be behind me.
Gotcha.
So-
Gotcha. You tell him to run and hide?
Yeah.
Okay, he runs, so he's going to try to run off to one of the buildings just to see the kind of to give you a further description. You have the archways that they've hung 2 bodies to. You have some of the farmers that are already laying on the grounds here. The distance that you're at, you're about 400 feet or 400, I'd say about 400, 500 feet away from the Miyazaki entrance, but the house itself is completely lit or completely dark. You would see the house lamb, same thing. A lot of these bigger, I would say very much like the bigger buildings behind you, there are no signs of life. And in fact, I would say some of the shops where the food is served, where the farmer or the fishermen are located, those are currently on fire. Boy's fishing shack, and at least the one that he has offshore, that's currently on fire. Some of the ships that you have in here, they're at least sunk into the bay itself. This thing was using the time while you guys were hiding to do exactly what it wanted to. Now, Toshiro, you have seen all of this. What would you like to do?
So I'm gonna pull out the Odachi,
Okay.
but as I pull it out, I'm gonna snap the blade, so it's the back side
Gotcha.
because it's House Lamb men, and I will try to knock them down.
Give me an attack roll when you get a chance.
Crit.
Oh, go for it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Do. Oh, yeah, I forgot. It's a 2d6, so
Yep.
that would be a 3 and a 3, 6, 11.
When you're doing non-lethal damage to him, how are you hitting him with this blade? Like you would see this person at
Same
least try to
style.
push you.
The same style. So
Yep.
Itenru is up high, it's slash across.
And he would try to go and lunge for Boy, and that flat of the blade hits him right on the back of the head. You just hear him just go and just goes right and hits his mouth right onto the ground. He stops moving. The other one looks at you with the same green eyes and starts to run and tries to jump and tries to stab you. I'm going to do 1. That is a 15. No,
So
okay.
I would bring the blade up and stop his stroke.
You see it spark and right crack. This is the Odachi, the family Odachi. Am I correct?
Yes, this would be Hirano no Asai.
And the minute
Morning sun of the plain.
It blocks, you would see the blue spark just right off of it, and you'd see his blade snap. You'd see him look at it and just throw it, and he would just start to try to run at you to try to grab you. What would you like to do on your attack?
Same thing.
Go for it.
Back of the blade, that would be a 24.
24 hits. Go for it. Give me damage.
That would be a 14.
14, easily on the 14, right to his head. You would hear the same kind of crack as he spins. His eyes goes through the back of his head, but you would see them both assume that they're unconscious. At this point, you would actually see Zhou right above you, Yuki right there, and Ivan with his horse about, I can say, a couple of seconds right behind them, as fast as he's going with that. Ivan, Zhou, Toshiro, Yuki, you can see this entire village. There are lamb soldiers running in between. There are also what look like a couple of the farmers as well. You've got Miyazaki house to the right. You've got Lamb's house to the left, and furthermore into the village below. What are we doing?
Yuki in that moment, seeing what's happening, and she's still on Juyi's back. She's gonna take that moment to grab hold of her shoulder like she had done once before, and you feel, Juyi, that same warmth that you felt from when she first cast that spell, and its protection from evil and good. This is needed. And basically she's just kind of making sure that you going into what is about to be a battle.
Remind me of what it does again.
So for this one, it's like one willing creature you touch is protected against different types of creatures. If it's aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, undead. So basically what we're probably going to be up against.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
So you have they have disadvantage against you, but you have advantage.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
So I would have tried to get Joey's attention after I knocked that one out. and point it at the farmers hanging? Because you said they were just hung upside down by their
On their
feet,
legs.
right?
Yes, on their legs. Yes.
Yeah. So I would have called out Joyi, and I would have pointed to the farmers.
Okay, then is that when after I landed or before I was landed?
Either way.
Toshiro.
Yeah, either way. I would have. It just depends on the timing of when I knocked that guy down and when I noticed Joyi
Okay.
coming up.
Okay.
Because the farmer is still hanging, correct?
Both of them are still
Okay.
hanging.
Okay, I'll lower one of them. I'll lower them down. One of them.
Well, how are you lowering him down? You land.
Is there a
Yep,
rope attached to him?
There is.
Okay, there's 2 farmers, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Yuki will run to one in order to cut the rope with her katana
Yep.
as she unsheathes.
Wait, how
You
high
would
are they
s-
first? Wait.
I'd
how high
say
are they?
about maybe 6 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if she's on Jui's back, then Yuki would be able to, with that motion,
Yeah.
be able to. Okay.
And I'm gonna cut the other as well with my scimitar. So
And they
Other
both,
rope.
you would see them just hit to the ground.
Yeah.
They're both, from what their look and their appearances are, they have, looks like their faces covered, their eyes covered, and their mouths are covered. But you can tell that the bands that hold their eyes and their mouth are held really tight.
okay. Anything different about them, or they're just normal? They look normal.
They look, I mean, for the most part, other than having the bands that are pushing
Yeah.
into their eyes, into their mouth, everything else looks kind of standard. What would you like
Okay.
to do?
I'm gonna cut them, but gently, obviously not to hurt their faces. But I'm
Yep.
releasing those bands.
You release
For
the
sure.
bands, and you can tell that they seem to be unconscious at this point.
Mhm.
You would just see them laying there.
Okay. I'm gonna scan my people, so my house. Do they all have green eyes, or they?
It's hard to ascertain because you're at the foot of the village, but if you want to run towards House Lamb, which you have right now is
Mhm.
House Lamb to the left, House Miyazaki to the right.
Okay. I turn to Toshiro and Yuki. Well, I'll let Yuki down first. I don't know why you're still on my back, but we'll let you down.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I basically,
Yeah.
with all of that, once we saw that, obviously we had to take care of the farmers. In that motion, it's like once we cut, that we were already on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
still like, hey,
Just riding like
get up.
I turn to you two and I say, look, you two handle your house. I will go to mine and we'll meet up in the middle. I know you said not to separate, but this is dire and we cannot handle everything just without separating. But stay in numbers, right? Not on our own, but in numbers. So
Correct.
Ivan, Mujun, if you can come with me to my house and then you two to yours. What do you think? We don't have time, but I think that's best.
Know what the plan is.
Yes, and Yuki basically nods, like, and it's a certain bow that basically it's like almost as if Zhu Yi has now become the instructor or the leader in this situation. She's
Exactly
letting her
that.
take charge.
You
And
would
then
see
sh-
Joyi
Just
and
bow.
Ivan move towards the House Lamb.
And Yuki follows Toshiro.
Who would
So
like to go
before I
f-
move on, Ray, I want to open the eyelids of the unconscious soldiers. Are their eyes still green?
From what you can tell, they're still green at this point.
Okay. So I look at Yuki. Yuki-san. Whatever evil is in this land is here. These are lamb men. I know them. They would never harm the farmers.
I know that as well, child.
The fight is not with the soldiers. We need to find it.
We don't cut off the source. It will continue. And then Yuki basically is letting Toshiro lead.
Okay. Let's do House Lamb first.
In the process, Ivan will, because he's got Mujin in front of him with his arms around Mujin, holding the reins tightly as his chest presses against his back. He will pull the eye patch from his head and be looking around. That's
what I would show you as you come to House Lamb is you would see the symbol of House Lamb in the forests. You would see the same symbol right above the archway and the doors that would be slightly ajar. There would be footsteps that go into this, but the thing you're recognizing is the footsteps. It's as if whoever walked in here are making conscious efforts to step on each foot previous. Because there's a deeper parts, there's a deeper insets. If you would like to walk into the actual area, just to give you an idea of it, of this pagoda, you would walk in and there's an open, like a courtyard first. What would you two like to do?
I am drawing both my scimitars, my two-handed ones, and I am in a almost defensive position. So I walk in sideways, ready just to defend, not to attack. But I am staying as perceptive as possible on what's happening and trying to gauge the situation almost.
You would walk, and it would almost seem as if the main doorway is to go into the area where you would see the family home, where a lot of the family members are held. The paper doorway is broken down, and you would see actually some parts inside it where it looks like things have been thrown jar.
Mm-hmm.
You would also recognize to the far right where the Lamb family children are kept. The same doors are broken. You have Ivan and you. What would you like to do? Ivan, let's go with you.
Ivan's waiting for direction. He's in there. He's pulled his shield off of him, but he's just kind of keeping his hands moving. So, Julie, what are we to do?
It seems that my family's room has been disturbed, and so has the children's room. The children are the future. My family are adults. They're all fighters. My family are fighters and protectors. So we must find those who can't defend themselves. I say we go for the children.
All right. Ivan will stay behind Joey at all times, shield out, keeping an eye on their six.
All right. Joey, you would start to move your way towards the entrance of the area where the kids are usually kept. The paper door has been smashed down. I would assume you two take the first steps in. It would almost seem as you can hear the wood beginning to crinkle or begin to creak below your feet. You would see the toys of the children thrown askew. You would hear laughter occasionally. There's an area where the kids go to eat food. It's a little kitchenette area, and it would be the only doorway that leads from this specific spot, this small 50 by 50 room. What would you two like to do?
And the laughter is coming from that one doorway, I'm assuming.
Correct.
What kind of laughter?
That's all you hear is just a child's laughter, innocent as it would be.
Is it multiple or single?
Single.
Huh. I turn and whisper to Ivan. I say, we must be careful. I don't know what is an illusion and what is not.
I've got your back. Where's Mujun in all this?
Mujin's outside with horse.
Of course. Ivan's going to kind of tap Joey, full in your lead.
And I kind of point my scimitar towards that door where the laughter is. And I kind of just look very concerned, almost like worried. So you can tell that she is dubious about this door.
Ivan.
Yeah.
How about this? You hang back. We'll open the door.
Okay. If you can lead with your shield, and I'll have your six.
And he's going to pull his hands up. How about I give you a bit more cover as he pushes like this black substance behind him as it covers you, and you see your skin get a bit darker in hue, like it's small wisp trailing across it and around it, almost like an ichor, as you have advantage on any and all stealth checks.
Thank you.
He's going to move forward. All right.
Joey, would you put your back to the wall, or are you just kind of like, how are you doing this? Like towards the doorway? What are you doing?
So I'm always have my back to the wall just to
Gotcha.
cover my back. But
Gotcha.
then I will see, because then Ivan will be on one of the sides of me, basically. Whichever way the door is that we are going towards.
Okay.
And so I'll be able to see in front of me and the other side that isn't covered.
Got you. All right. So
Yeah.
for an order of operations with this, why don't we do this? I need you and Ivan to give me an initiative roll. I'm just going to do this to kind of give as far as the sequence of events.
Easy. Yep.
So
Super
easy.
Chill.
So fucking good. Yeah.
It's all smooth. I played that one out.
Yeah. It's really fun. Super fun. I got a 29,000.
29,000. How do you know he's cheating? 29,000. Okay, that just. What you got?
13.
13. Okay, 13. Both 13s.
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's up to you if you want to go Simo. I'm totally down to do it simultaneously, but it's up to you guys.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one it's going to be. Great. You two are obviously first. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go.
It's like you two are obviously first. Ivan, Joey, the minute you open the door, you can actually see it takes a few seconds to let the light adjust, but you would notice inside of this what looks like a food pantry. There are 7 pairs of eyes looking at you, and 1 pair holding the mouth of one of the children, just staring at you, as if they're hiding in here from some whatever form that's been hunting them. You just see them holding the mouths of the kid. You see them holding the mouth of the kid. She just stares, never seeing you, never seeing someone of your ilk or your kind here in this land of Qorvi. But you see her grasping in the other hand what looks like a small blade, and it's just shaking. It looks like a kitchen knife or a paring knife.
Looking at them. Looking at them, into them. Do I see any sort of illusion?
No.
Okay.
Do I also see this?
No, you're across the way with the door.
He's gonna put his hand up. And he's gonna kind of lower his shield a bit and crouch down. Now you see, I really like laughing as well. But it might be best to stay quiet for now. Right? A friend of yours is here. She'd probably like to say hi. As he's gonna roll out of the door and found the kids.
And you would recognize as you're saying this in common that the female doesn't understand what you're saying, because she takes the paring knife and tries to jab it into your leg, but you would see it just kind of bounce right off of the metal armor. I got a 2, so I figured you got a higher.
Yeah.
It would just go right off the armor, but you would see her just kind of hold her, and you would see her start to mark some. It would sound very much like the Qorvashi language that Joyi even speaks, but you've heard her say "go away" before. You can just hear her saying this over and over and over again. And she would take the kids, and at this point, you would see the kids starting to cry in that room as well. Joyi, you can hear the kids crying. Does 22 hit for my own purposes?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And at the same time, Ivan, when you turn to look, you would see what looks like an arm that would be, I would say it looked like it belonged to somebody that would probably be about 500 pounds, because it breaks through the paper wrapping, grabs Joey.
Wait, did you do disadvantage though? Is it a oh man.
Oh.
Grabs Joey, and you just see her just get right through
fuck?
the wall. Joey, you were put right into that area right outside, and you can see this creature that just grabs you and throws you into the courtyard. The way I would explain it to you is that it would have what looks like a small little shirt on, half a breast coming out at 500 pounds, and another breast that comes out. You would see green hair, the same muddled skin, as if you would look like if somebody from House Lamb had been morphed into this thing. You would look at this, you would see its belly as it's kind of pouring over what looks like this traditional kimono, and the traditional kimono being out, but the part that's pouring over, the part that wraps around, it's obnoxiously tight. and it would actually start showing what looks like a breakdown of skin right under it. The smell you're getting off of this smells like a combination of patchouli oil and open sewer. I mean, it is rank coming off of this thing. You'd see it just
Okay.
look at you with this makeup on its mouth, just kind of grab what looks like a cleaver. And at the same point, you would recognize the cleaver that it's grabbing. It grabs a bundle of hair as well.
Oh.
And you would see the matriarch for House Lamb, at least whatever's left of her in her head, in her hand. She would be walking right towards you.
Ooh, okay.
What would you like to do?
How far am I from this thing?
You're about, after you kind of gain your composure, and since you went into a defensive stance, you're at about 20 feet away from it. You would see Ivan right behind. You've got kids there with you right now, Ivan, and you've got this female that's still staring right at you out of this closet. Joey, it's your action. You've got this obnoxiously large, it looks like a cleaver in its hand, and just like I had described. What would you like to do?
Okay, so looking at this thing, I'm gonna kind of put a finger to my lips and kind of like signal the shush kind of thing, but that's more to Ivan rather than this obnoxious looking thing. And I'll say, "You bitch, that was my mom." And she is gonna get ready, and she's pushing in because she is not happy with what's just happened. Oh, she will go. Yeah, she's gonna go into attack for sure. Both her scimitars, and I'm definitely using my best dice for this. Advantage, right?
Yep.
Oh, cool! I get to roll 46, the 48. Yeah, that's fine. Let me once again. Two best. Plus that. Let's say 21.
Okay.
And 24 to hit.
21 and 24 hit. What would you like to do? Give me your damage. Ivan, you're up next.
1d6 plus 4d6. Sorry.
No worries.
It's too much. Too many dice. So that is 6. So that's 9 plus 8 is 17 together.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going in with an action surge.
Go for it.
So I'm going in again with another attack. With advantage again or no? Yes? Question mark?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
you
cool,
totally
cool.
have that.
Cool, awesome. Where's all my dice gone? There you go. That's a 19 and a 17 plus 5 on both of those. 22 to hit and then 24 to hit.
Gotcha. Give me both attacks.
Yeah. 6.
17 total damage total so far.
6 for 5 is another 11, so that's 28.
28.
Yeah.
The cutting motions that you do with your blade, it's one of those, as organic as it is, you give Ivan the jump with your blade and you come down with 2 right onto its belly. The minute you cut its belly, you see the left breast kind of separate and it looks like fatty tissue start to exvest out of it. This looks like yellowish orange. But the minute that happens, you would see it just kind of come right back together, and you would just see this creature just go. And it starts to vomit up, and you would see what looks like parts of a jaw and parts of it look like an eyeball hit the ground.
Nice.
It just goes with its cleaver. Ivan, you're up next. You have the kids and you have the person there with the paring knife. The door there, you've turned around well enough to see this thing grab Joey, throw her into the courtyard. What would you like to do?
Does this seem to be the creature that we are here for? Or does this seem to be a different creature entirely?
This thing looks completely different.
Ivan will close the door for the kids quietly close it. And you said they're out in the courtyard.
That's correct.
Is there a way for Ivan to try and jump past this hole or whatever's been made and try and get to the front? Because I'm going to assume the front door is like this way, and I can try and
it's
get
like an
around
open,
them.
if you would think about it, like if you were to walk in, it's an open courtyard, very much similar to like your pagoda style open courtyard. First entrance would be the house, and that one right turn is where you went to see the kids. So that hole that it just made where it pulled out Joey, it's got its back turned, and currently, since Joey made the attacks, it's not paying attention to, so you could possibly sneak out and go to the front.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
That. So
Okay.
I want to attack it from the back. That's what I was hoping to do.
Gotcha. Take it.
So
Okay.
what I'd like to do, how big is this thing?
You're looking at about size-wise. That's the thing that kind of throws you off. It's about 500 pounds and about 5'4".
F me. Okay. Ivan's going to try and run up behind and putting his shield away, pulling both axes, and he's going to go to slide and take a swing at the Achilles heel on the right side and try and slice that and keep running.
Excellent. Give me an attack roll and let me know what you got.
That's a hard hit higher. Later today. That is going to be, I think, a 20.
Oh, hit. Go for it. Give me your damage.
20 or more. Okay, so that's going to be a d6 because it's a hand axe. 6 plus 3.
Gotcha.
9 damage.
Roll. You would actually see the tendon cut. This creature's leg, if you've ever seen an ankle give out, it bends like this, and at 500 pounds, you hear this like it cracks right under the weight of it. You hear the same thing as that happens, though. You hear the creature just go, and you'd slide right in front. At the same time as you slide, you'd see Joyi right there. It's like as you slide right to her.
What I'm hoping is slide, grab her, and just like start to run.
Joyi, rules of consent. He tries to grab you and gives you the direction to run. What do you want to do?
Which way is you directing me to run to?
Trying to get away.
As far as possible from the children, right? I can get that. Yeah, I'll let him. Well, I'm gonna try and I guess I point as he pulls me towards the town square. It's where we were.
Okay.
Yeah.
To make this thing follow. Yeah.
You would run. Now, when you say make it follow, how are you doing that? Because you make dash for the front door.
Yeah.
Are you turning around to see if this thing was going to come after you? What are you doing?
I eat a hand axe behind me at it.
Throwing a hand axe at it?
Yeah, I'm throwing a hand axe right in the head.
Give me an attacker. I'll let you do this straight out of give me an attacker. We're gonna go to Toshiro and Yuki right after this.
With advantage or no?
Yeah, I say you got the spell. I'll give you advantage on it.
Nice.
I'm like, I dare you to follow. I'm literally gonna yell that at it. I dare you to fucking follow me.
Okay.
Come on. All right, that is a 19.
So 19's gonna hit. Give me your damage on the hand axe. I'm gonna give you strictly out the damage of this. Go ahead and tell me what you got. D6.
Okay. Where is it? Where's my dice? I don't even know where my dice are anymore. That is plus a 3 as a 6.
So, question I have to give you.
Yeah.
The hand axe is in the head.
Yeah.
If you choose to stay and see if it chases you, you'll have to waste another round in place.
Okay.
Or you can run. Your call. What would you two like to do?
Ivan, would you have reacted to that?
What would you like to do?
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna literally gonna yell at her and say, "Bitch, I dare you to fucking follow me," and I'm just gonna leg it.
Okay. Ivan.
So you're staying?
No, I'm going. I'm
Okay.
yelling that at her and then legging it.
Ivan is going to run forward, kind of like trying to push you further to get you further out and running with you. But he's going to say, "Remember, the shadows are with you." And he's going to turn around to like make sure she is following. And he's going to waste a round.
All right. I'm going to go to those two. But, Ivan, since you chose to stick behind, you would see Joyi get pushed and run towards the center of the town. At the same time you'd look at this thing, you'd hear a door open in the distance, as you would assume would be the same door where those people were. You can just see her just go. And just start walking towards the children. Joey's head towards the center. What would you like to do? Here in the back of your head, this is not your fight.
I couldn't hear you.
It would hear in your head, this is not your fight. Turn around, stranger. Just leave.
Do I recognize the voice?
You know exactly whose voice that is. It's the same voice that's been speaking to you since the very beginning of this. This isn't your fight.
But when have we ever run from a fight, right? If it's a possible chance of death, I'm gonna take it.
Play.
Just make sure I survive. We could have much fun. As he's going to do the same thing he did the other time of scooping his hand along the ground, pushing the shadows at the creature, and casting his powerful thing, the guiding bolt at 3rd level. So 5d4 or 5d6 damage.
A save?
Come on.
Or is it
Come on.
you have to roll to hit? No, it's my save.
Make a range spell attack. Yeah.
Yep, go for it.
Do I get advantage from this somehow?
The only advantage was given to Joey due to the protection phase.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a 21 to hit.
21 hits, go for it.
Okay. I did not expect it to hit, so here we are again. Rolling out my dice in hopes that I don't die. Okay. Not bad. 10, 16, 20,
Okay.
24 damage.
The guiding bolt cuts right into the shoulder blade of this thing, and you can see her entire arm kind of drop. You would see part of her clavicle kind of poking out right at the skin, and some of what looks like some of that tissue just starting to pour out of the wounds. And at the same time, it starts to get this really distinct smell of baking soda, and you would almost smell like it's like urine coming out of this, and you would see roaches and what looked like other insects begin to fall from the wound. You would see her just grab the arm, put it up to it, and just kind of.
He's is it paying attention to him, or is it still moving?
It seems to just ignore whatever you just did and head towards what it's looking for as its prize. You've done total of about, I'd say about looking at 56 points of damage. That's pretty close. What would you like to do?
The room that I saw them in.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a paperback wall or was it a
Yes.
hardback wall?
It was a paperback wall.
You better fucking give me speed, as he's going to just start charging forward to try and run around this creature and just try and like tackle these kids like through that back paper wall, taking as many as he can.
I'm going to try to make one attack at you.
That
you're going to give me an acrobatics while you're at this. If you make this acrobatics, I'm going to give you that slide right under this weapon. Okay? Your acrobatics.
Acrobatics roll is going to be, oh, F you, where are my stats? I took acrobatics. That is going to be a dirty 20.
Okay, dirty 20. It slides, you go right under it, stand up, run, and just boom right
These fucking
through.
kids gotta be worth it. As
And
So-
you go right through the paper wall, and you can actually see what looked like a number of the kids. It's almost like you use the adult to push off through, but it's enough of the tear, and you see them all kind of clamber through. What do you want to do?
run now!
And you just see them all.
Ah!
And it's that they don't understand the word run, but they understand what you are saying, and like, yeah, and they would just like take off as fast as they can. Let's go to Toshiro and Yuki. As all of this, you guys go to the house Miyazaki, and it's exactly that. The two pagoda doors, the symbol of Miyazaki. You would open the doors, complete dense fog in the middle of the courtyard. Yuki, Toshiro, I would assume you both have your weapons out.
Yuki has her hand on the hilt of her blade, but it is not unsheathed just yet.
Okay, gotcha.
So she was running towards in the direction that Toshiro was going, but she was holding her hand on the hilt, but she did not unsheath it.
Toshiro,
So yeah,
Have-
I would be up and walking in. So because of the plate, it's not graceful.
and you make the first steps in. You can hear the clamoring of the plate. Yuki, what would you like to do?
Toshiro, you lead the way.
It's the
Uh,
same.
Does dark vision help with this?
You can try. As your eyes illuminate and you would look through the fog, and it's almost as if you're walking through. You can taste it. It's tangible. The air around this room, it has that almost ozone smell to it.
But before he goes forward,
Uh-huh.
Yuki will while he's looking like he's thinking, she will touch the middle of his back. Say, do not be afraid. We can do this together. And she's giving him guidance. So there's like an illumination, like a brief like pulse that you feel. So you have guidance.
Shiro, you would notice the paper doors that would line the entrance into the area of the room of the family houses broken. The houses where the youngest are kept broken. What would you two like to do?
I would like to perceive any noises.
Give me an investigation. I'll let you know. Give me a perception. I'll let you know what you got.
And you have that bonus.
Yep.
Okay, 17 plus what? D4?
D4.
And you begin
18.
to 18. You begin to look, and you close your ears. You don't hear anything. Even the familiar wood creaking that would happen just purely based on the wind or the location of this home it is dead silent in this house right now.
Okay. So I would look at Yuki. I don't hear anything. The main house.
Let's go.
So clunkily, I will be making my way to the main house.
And the noise is, at this point, you can hear the metal kind of clanging together, the wood itself. Yuki, the first steps with your wooden shoes, you could feel the sounds of it kind of go, but you've moved in these homes before. You know to step on between the breaks and between the beams to make it completely silent. You take the first steps, and it goes the familiar smell of rice flour here. It gets to the point where you look inside and you can see a room, one of the first royal rooms. This is where the matriarch of House Miyazaki would typically be sitting. It's been tossed and thrown askew.
Can I do a check just to see if Yuki picks up on anything in particular?
Go for it. Give me an investigation. Let you know what you got.
And that is 16.
And from your location, what you would actually be able to look at is that you can still smell that. It's the minute you sulfur. You would look down on the wood and see what looks like acid etching that's been made into the wood. You can tell by the things that are knocked over, nothing here was taken. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. This wasn't to snatch and grab anything. You see broken glass. You see there are items still, swords still hung, decorative plates, things that may have had value, but everything has been broken.
And Yuki, as she goes down to the ground in that moment when she's investigating, and she stops for a second. Sulfur. Be on alert. Its presence is here. And then when she rises up, she's going to grab hold of Toshiro's forearm, and he'll feel that it's almost like a feeling that washes over his body, and she's giving resistance because she knows that obviously they need to be on alert.
And it would almost as if you two are looking at each other. Toshiro, you have your sword out, you have your armor. It's almost you see Yuki place her hand onto your wrist. And at the same point, this illumination, this warm feeling overtakes you. Yuki, the entrance you just came into, though, you can see a shadow begin to move from the doorway. It stands but 8 feet tall, drops what looks like a bag onto the ground, and a number of heads begin to roll out of it. You see through the fog another 7 begin to walk forward. Look like Qorvi, but they have green eyes, and they also have what look like swords that are extended outwards. You have 7 of the Miyazaki samurai currently under this. These are all very well-trained warriors. You also have this creature, one that came from the forest, mocking you and just standing there. Shiro and Yuki, what would you like to do?
Do I recognize the creature?
Yes, you do.
Is that the creature I faced at Busan?
Yes, it is.
So I look at it again, and Yuki, does she recognize it in her encounter or no?
You would recognize it. It's up to Yuki. You can recognize this thing for what it is, Yuki. This is the thing that's been in the forest.
So I kind of look at it. And it's like, Yuki-san.
Yes.
This is it. This is the thing at Busan. And I kind of turn to her like, I fought it once. And the skills I have, something's missing because I couldn't defeat it. So I'll turn back and I'll face it and I'll take it on. But I wanted her to know that what I know doesn't work.
And with that, Yuki will tell Toshiro as she face also too. She's keeping her eyes on the men. You are not the man you once were. With those defeats, you learn much. It's time.
So because I'm gonna face the creature, I snap the sword edge side out this time.
Same time you would do that, Toshiro, you would see what looks like the blue hue of the blade begin to illuminate as the souls of those that have been departed and those that are trapped within this blade, those that have sworn protection to Qorvi and you that draw blood from that begin to glow as it kind of hues onto your face as well. This creature grabs what looks like a glaive out, just looks at you and just does this. And the 7 warriors extend all of their katanas and begin to walk forward.
And would Yuki know that they're at this point, if the soldiers are that far gone where they cannot be saved?
That's what you would believe.
Yuki will focus her attention on the soldiers because she knows that Toshiro, it's his battle against this thing.
All right. Give me an initiative roll for the both of you. Sent you a message too, Toshi.
21.
21. Okay, Toshiro.
17.
17. I got a 5. Go ahead, Yuki.
Okay, so Yuki will you'll see where instead of grabbing her sword, you see that it almost looks like a dance where she moves her arms in such a way where it's almost just a very graceful movement, but in that moment she's unleashing, you see where there's a gathering of fire around her hands, and she pushes it forward, but she's also going to twin spell firebolt to hit two of the
All right, do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. And for that, it is for the first one, that's an 18 to hit.
Okay. 18 hits.
Perfect. And then for the second, I'm assuming it would, because I think we have to roll again, even if it's twin spelled, in order to hit.
Yeah.
That one is a 14.
14 does not hit.
Okay. So at least you got one. And that is 5 points of damage.
5 points of damage. I'll take that noted. Yep, I'll take noted of this. What looks like you cast this spell. It kind of deviates, goes in one single ball, and then separates into 2 fire bolts. They separate parts and then hit 2 different targets. One of the first ones hits to the ground and holds its chest, and the other one just kind of winces in pain. But you would also see what looks like this thing just kind of grab what looks like a handful of powder and just all around it. And you would see those same soldiers just look upwards, and their same incisions start to begin to close. The fire at least start to seal itself. Let's go with Toshiro.
And quick question, would that mean that Yuki would know that fire is not something that damages
That's correct. That's correct. Yep, that's correct.
That's what I need to know.
Yeah, save that for advantage for next time. Oh, that's freaking hell yeah. Keep that. I'll give you advantage on the next one. Inspiration. Hold down onto it. Yeah, okay, go for it, Toshiro. What do you want to do?
So I'm gonna square off with it.
Yeah.
I look at it and kind of not really acknowledge the fact that I'd faced it down the first time, and kind of do that slow dance that samurais do when they move and try to find the right position. And then I'll go in for a strike.
You mean attack roll? Let me know what you got.
26.
26 hits.
$13.
You go right through what looks like a cut onto its arm. And it's the same appearance, Toshiro. The harsh reality of this is that you see this wound begin to regenerate as it begins to laugh at you again. As you hear the words as it once said, "This land is mine. Everything here is mine." And you would
So I'm going to have a... Oh, go ahead.
Go for it.
No, I'm going to have a perplexed look as I come down on the downstroke and I look at the blade. Is there anything different that I see in it?
As you can tell from the blade itself, there's blood on it, which is a lot different than some of the weapons you've seen of the others that were used. It looks at you, and you can see it just go, like it winces a little bit. This demon is giving you its tell.
Yeah, so I don't really have anything else. So action surge, come back up with an up strike. Because I don't cast spells.
That part.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. We got another 26.
Okay. 26 hits.
11, 16.
16. At the same point, when you go up to it, it's almost you run up to it and do 16 points of damage. And at this point, you would see this creature look at you. It moves and takes the hit, grabs you by the nape of its neck or by your kimono, puts his hand up to it, and you just hear this fireball go right off in your hand, point blank. I need a spell save when you get a chance.
And you do have that resistance as well, so that's a D4.
So D4.
Yes.
Dirty 20.
20. 7 damage for a fireball. God damn it. Apparently, I'm shooting magic missiles out of my fireballs.
Nice. It's a cantrip now.
The blast that you would see, Toshiro, it's the one thing it would push you backwards, but it's enough not to keep you, or it's still enough to keep you on your feet. Your reaction to this, it's almost as if I'm going to put a pause on this because here's what I'm going to show everybody. You have in front of you this creature that just tried to launch its fireball. You know it has spell capabilities, but as it blasted you back, you kind of move the blade away from you, and you would see Yuki shooting her fire blast at the 7 soldiers. Both of you will be in this battle the next time we start this adventure. Ivan, the part that I would give you is as if you run away, you would turn and look, and after you had done the spell and you realize this creature was more, it had other eyes for other things. You run in there as fast as you can, slide and almost do this where you have your arms outwards right under, and then just get up and tackle them through the wall. Joyi, you run to the center of the city where a lot of Boys Fish Market, where you have a lot of the food stands. The House Miyazaki mochi stand is there. A lot of the other areas and the piers where people openly fish. You turn around and you look for Ivan and recognize he's not there. But what you do see, a very familiar look. It's an older gentleman with plate mail. He looks up to you and you can see the old bear. He opens his eyes and they're as green as emeralds. You'd see the old bear grab what looks like an axe from the back of him, and another axe from the other side. When we return, Shiro is fighting the Sony, Yuki fighting the 7 House Samurai soldiers from House Miyazaki, Ivan directing as much scary sounds as he can to make these children run away, but inevitably turning around and seeing this creature move your direction. Joyi recognizing the one person that has taught you everything about being a soldier, standing right in front of you. For your lives. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We get back. It'll be episode 5. Here we go. Thank you for showing up. I'll see everybody next time.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you.
Arigato.